welcome back to Jump Scare. This week we cover 1986's Rawhead Rex.
What I saw wasn't human.
Oh my God!
It was very tall. What's more, it saw me. This thing.
Rawhead Rex.
So this is a Clive Barker story.
Yep. He did the screenplay for this, but apparently it didn't quite turn out the way he hoped.
It has David Coleman Dukes.
Yeah, not the David Duke's white supremacist guy. He unfortunately shares the same name with.
He was also in Rose Red and a billion other things. So many things he has been a part of, TV and film. Oh, also Dawson's Creek. He was Andy and Jack's father, if you are a Dawson's Creek lover.
I was not. I saw a couple episodes. Other than that, I couldn't tell you what went on in that show.
Well, I know you weren't. I was talking to the audience.
Oh, okay.
Just so they know, face, what he looks like. Kelly Piper's also in the film. She was in Maniac, 1980s Maniac. So, she wasn't a stranger to horror. And some other people that are well known within the Irish community.
And that would be about it. I love the fact that the Rawhead Rex, his real name is almost as impressive as Rawhead Rex. His name is Heinrich von Schellendorf.
Yeah, that's a pretty dope name.
Yeah, that just inspires. That says I'm going to come kick your ass right there.
I have to say, because I don't want anyone that may be listening over in Ireland to be angry, but Donald McCain is also in this film, and he was listed as number 45 on Irish Times list of Ireland's greatest film actors. So
wow.
That's important.
45 out of how many?
45 out of probably 100. Or 45 out of a 45, because, I can't even think of one Irish actor right now, off the top of my head.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's a lot of them. And we've covered several Irish horror movies. But yeah, right off the bat, let's just get into it. Shad told me that the original look of this monster is supposed to be a penis.
Yes.
So
a 9-foot phallus as a symbol of male aggression.
Yeah, which makes sense if you have seen the movie. This is actually my first time watching the movie, and we actually own the movie on Blu-ray.
Yeah. I picked it up when it went on sale a while back from Kino Lorber. So
I had never seen the movie. Can I just give my rating now? No, I'm just kidding.
Sure, go right ahead.
No. We'll talk a little bit about the film. So I will let Chad take it, since obviously he has read this story.
Yeah. The story is similar, but of course way more graphic than what they got into in this, especially with certain scenes. It's a pretty basic monster story. People are in a field trying to move an old stone that's been there for hundreds of years. They move the stone, which of course is the only thing that's keeping Rawhead Rex buried underground and quiet. He immediately comes up, kills the guy that moved the stone as a thank you. It's I love when they do that. Oh, you freed me from thousands of years of captivity. Now I will eat your face.
He's been dying to kill someone for God knows how long. Also, that scene was not and then he popped out of the stone like you just said. It just took fucking 5 minutes of the film. That was the first 20 minutes of the film. And this rock was the heaviest rock. I don't even know what they were thinking. I don't even know what the end result was. Were they building condos? Why were they moving this rock? The side story, which is the main story, a U.S. historian has come to Ireland to do, historical stuff. And he has brought his family, his wife, and his 2 children, son and daughter, with him. And he goes, of course, like in all things, I feel like part of this is he came at the wrong fucking time. Like if he would have gotten there 2 weeks before
Yep.
he would have been fine, okay? Because they would have not, or maybe, you know what? Maybe it actually took 2 weeks for them to pull this rock, because it took 20 minutes for us as the audience to visualize to see this. So maybe it had been taken 2 weeks to pull this rock up, because it was like moving all of Stonehenge. I'm assuming those rocks are very heavy.
I would guess, yeah. So, of course, I love when he's going to do some history. He wants to do some photography and some articles about the churches around there. He goes into the church, and the first thing you see in the church is the stained glass window with Rawhead Rex on it. And, like, the light comes through the window. It makes it look like laser beams down towards into the church. And it takes, 30 seconds after Rawhead Rex comes out of the ground before shit starts going wrong in the church. And you have the old lady putting flowers in a vase, and she walks by, just happens to brush this table. Well, of course, the glass explodes, she freaks out. Priest runs over, puts his hand on the table, and he starts getting the Rawhead Rex vision. He just immediately, without question, well, this is my God and Master now. I now worship Rawhead Rex.
Yeah, that did definitely happen. It happened after all the parishioners, like after everyone had left the church. It wasn't like immediately, because I feel like, and there is a weird span of time where he does get affected by whatever the chest that he touches, and then the actual main, whoever, he's not a priest, but the main guy of the church.
He's the vicar is the one.
The vicar, okay, yeah. Yes, the main vicar. The vicar, doesn't notice any fucking weird behavior from this dude who's literally been standing. I mean, they go back and forth to this priest that got, jacked up. Like the half of the movie, they go back to him, and he's standing in the same place the whole time. Like, no church goings were happening. No one was being baptized. The guy that was actually the vicar, the main vicar, who has an office like right off the side of the altar, like the main area of worship where this guy is fucking standing, staring at the stained glass. He's, did he not get coffee? Did he not have to go home to his wife? Did he just, that's just, John just being a wackadoodle, just standing there looking at the stained glass. Like, what the fuck?
Repeatedly pledging his allegiance to Rawhead Rex loudly. And I love when the guy comes in to take pictures of the window, and the priest just grabs his camera, smashes it, and is like, get the fuck out of here. Like, they don't... And no, the guy never goes to the other priest and is like, hey, your fucking priest broke my camera. This Polaroid was pretty expensive in 1986. You should have to pay me back for that. No, he's just like, yeah, I'll fucking go, but don't do that again. Okay.
Yeah, I don't even know. It takes a while. The photographer or the U.S. historian, he goes to the church to get the parish's records for whatever reason, for his historical notebook or journal that he's making. And we don't really know. You don't really get to know really what he's doing there. He's just a historian, and he's taking photos, and we don't know what the actual story is of his purpose.
He's called plot advancement is what he is.
So he's there doing that. Meanwhile, you have the crazy guy worshiping this, the stained glass. And then, of course, we have Rawhead Rex, who is terrorizing, like Godzilla, of fucking everyone in the town. And this is it's in Ireland, so it's, green pastures and beautiful little cobblestone houses and, farms and whatever. And he's just bulldozing over everything. And let me tell you, this costume is terrible. This was not good at all. Obviously, they did not go with a penis head look.
No, they went with the crazy monster look.
He looks like a pig mixed with a rhinoceros mixed with... He reminds me of some character you would see maybe in Willow or one of those fantasy.
No, it wouldn't be Willow. They had a budget on Willow. He'd be in something like...
I mean, in the world, not in the actual movie.
But in the movie, you'd see him, he'd be in like The Sword and the Sorcerer. That's the kind of thing they would have him in. Or like Hawk the Slayer or one of those. He'd be that kind of cheesy monster in that.
Oh, I think he may have had like some kind of ponytail. I don't...
He had kind of a mullet.
Yeah.
And
it's
of course,
very strange.
They didn't want to have to like worry about his anatomy, so he comes out of the ground wearing pants, boots, and part of a shirt. It's like the Donald Duck thing. We'll give him pants, so he's fine.
Yeah, I don't know why he would be wearing a shirt. He reminds me of that movie that we really like, not Knights of Badassium, the other. Oh, Your Highness.
Yeah,
like that.
He'd be a creature from Your Highness. Yeah,
it just looks bad. So you could look it up. So he's there, and the first thing he's like, I'm just gonna go, and I already killed like dude number 1. So now I'm gonna go to like this random area, where there's a guy. With we don't really know, with his wife who's pregnant, and he kills that guy. Then he goes after the wife, and
he destroys that house. He's like going through the house, and it's like, fuck this bag of sugar, fuck your salt.
Yeah,
and he's just smashing everything in the house.
She was making steak and potatoes like you do, and I don't think he appreciated the smells that were coming out of the kitchen. So it was probably a terrible dinner. I mean, it looked good, but she was cutting a whole bunch of different vegetables, and she's cutting up the meat. He did not like the kitchen setup. He was like, fuck this setup. Like, he did not like anything. He destroyed.
Maybe he's not very into vegetables. He's very anti-vegan since he was eating people.
Yeah, I would say he was definitely angry about that. He was like, why are you mixing this delicious meat with these terrible vegetables? I'm going to take this canister down of flour. Fuck you, flour canister.
Yeah, he just went in the house and fucked everything up.
Only the kitchen, though. Like, I feel like,
he left everything else alone.
He attacked the kitchen the most. He was in the kitchen for like a good 5 to 7 minutes while she's upstairs, holding onto her belly, freaking the fuck out.
And holding onto the door because, like you do, this little flimsy door is going to hold back this rampaging 7-foot monster that's coming up the stairs.
She gets... right before I guess he attacks her, and I do like that scene. His arm burst through the door and like literally scratched not her stomach, but the clothes, like the front of her thing. So you could see that she's obviously, you already know she's pregnant, but you can see skin, and you could see it's like a scratch mark on her clothes. I really like that because that was like, oh no, for me. I was like, oh no, the poor baby. And you think, oh, he's just, now he has a full meal and he's gonna have like a dessert or an appetizer. This baby's a goner. No, he did not attack the baby, and they never explain, and this ties into what we're going to talk about later. They never explain that at all, like more in depth of the connection between the main like thing of the film and like his presence, because he's supposed to be this phallic thing, and then also there's a
like fertility cult about him.
Yes, so they don't really explain how they're connected. You're just supposed to just make your own thing up, and it doesn't matter. But after that, he just continues his rampage. And then my favorite thing is everyone in this town mad horny. Like, there's nothing else to do but like fuck everywhere. Everyone is making out. Like, the historian and his wife, they go on a date. They leave their children. They don't give 3 fucks about the kids, by the way. Like, at the beginning of the film, you see like their interaction, and the kids are just background. They're literally murdering each other, and the parents are like, talking about, how long they have to be there, and not disciplining their children. Like, they have no care for them. They've gone on a date, and they're massively making out in the middle of the street for everyone to wear. Now, what I mean in the middle of the street, this is not like a New York street or busy, whatever. This is a little
tiny street in Ireland, to the point that they're blocking the road so long that the old lady, who just happens to be dressed like the main character from Don't Look Now.
Yes, which I was like, isn't this lady from Don't Look Now? Like, and I've never seen that movie, but we both know the image of this woman.
Yeah.
And she has that creepy, like, red coat on, and she
even has a little bit of the creepy face.
Maybe it was the same damn woman. Who knows?
She comes up and just gives them the stink eye until they move so she can walk between them, because she can't walk around them, apparently. There was no space to go on either side.
No.
She just had to break up the makeout session so she could walk through the middle.
And this is probably, in this film, is the most intense makeout I've ever seen in, like, any horror movie. I'm talking about, like, you can see these actors are mad tonguing themselves. Like, there's full tongue going on, and he's in there.
Yeah, he opened up his mouth when he opened the mouth and was just like, came at her, man. He wasn't fucking around.
No, and they were at it, and they both had lust in their eyes. It was very intense. So later on,
But is that because Rawhead Rex came out and his male energy was just overwhelming the town and making him horny?
maybe that would have been a big, because I'm not gonna say they went out of a way to make a point, but they showed people making out like a lot.
And then we had like the couple in the one trailer where Rex ends up rampaging. They end up going outside to make out, and I mean you can tell it's the 80s because they have no knowledge of like the consent.
Because
she's like, I don't know, I don't think we should make out, and he's like, shut up, baby, you know you love it. And just keeps making out with her, and she's like, all right, I guess you're right.
She never got to tell him she kept telling him, I have something important to tell you. I thought she was going to say she was pregnant. And then that was going to tie into like Rawhead Rex not attacking her, because she at least said it 3 times that she had something she wanted to talk to him about. They never got to it. Like, it even went even further than that. It wasn't like, I'm just going to take her outside this trailer, where my baby brother, who's playing with his toys and watching some random movie, is literally sitting like 2 inches away from me, because it's a little small cavern. Like, there's a little, like, circus, like, cavern, like, community, because everyone is living in these very, very small trailers. Like, there's no bedroom.
Yeah, there's like a little caravan of these things, and they're all sitting around, and, like, they're super tiny. I mean, they look like a storage shed size. Like, everybody can barely stand up in them. They look more like the trailers you would take like to the lake for the weekend to sleep over, like kind of like camping. But these people just live in them apparently.
And he's like, no, let's make it outside, like Shad had previously said. And then he's like, no, let's go into the forest. Because of course he's not trying to make out in the forest. He's trying to get it on in the forest, and he does try very hard. Does not work out for him. Okay, he loses a hand. He
loses a body. She gets to keep the hand.
Well, he lost a hand first, and then he died.
Yeah. So she's running back into town with him while Rawhead Rex is chasing him. And at some point, Rex grabbed him, and she didn't even notice, because she runs back into the little caravan where everybody's freaking out, because her younger brother, who's also wandered off into the woods to follow them and watch them, I guess.
No, he followed because the guy took his toy out with him, and he dropped it on the floor, but the toy was fine. And then Rawhead Rex came along, and he crushed that fucking toy. And then he walked into the woods.
Oh, that's right.
When the brother came out, he saw the toy on the floor all crushed, and he was pissed. He was like, "This fucker just fucking broke my toy." So he runs for revenge after his brother. And that's when he sees that Rawhead Rex is, he's having a supper, which is the first guy that he killed. Oh, no, I'm sorry. The second guy he killed, the farmer father. And he's, like, literally eating his entrails on his face.
And that just freaks the kid out. So he's there, like, screaming and freaking out, and everybody's trying to see what's going on. Meanwhile, the girl comes running back in, and you don't see it for a while. You don't realize that she's running by herself, and you realize that she's just holding the boyfriend's hand. That's it. That's
actually was very cool.
That was kind of cool. That was kind of like the urban legend of like Lover's Lane, where they find the hook on the car door later or something like that. That part was pretty cool. It
was pretty cool. But yeah, this is the whole movie. Like, basically, it's Rawhead Rex terrorizing everyone, killing people, whatever. And then, of course, like in all things, the historian is going to get into it, and he's going to be affected by it. And his son, gets murdered. And now...
Well, let's talk about how his son gets murdered. They're driving along a strange road. They're leaving. They're like, fuck this, we're out of town.
It's like It's like American Werewolf in London, okay? When they're like hitchhiking, and there's
Yeah.
like there's cornfields. Like that
Just
whole
like
that
a
whole
little,
scene.
a little tiny road. They're driving down in their car, and huge empty fields on either side of it. So the daughter's like, I have to go to the bathroom. Like, why didn't you pee before we went? She's like, well, I didn't have to go then. I have
She's
to go
like
now.
5. Okay, audience. She's like 5 years old.
So they're like, okay, we'll pull over, and you just get out and go down this field. Go through the fence, squeeze through the gate in the fence, go to the other side, and go to that bush way down there by yourself and pee behind it.
The 5-year-olds, that's fine. The mom could care, like I said, could care less. She's like, it's fine. She's gonna have to learn how to do it by herself someday. The dad had some sense. He was like, well, she doesn't have to grow up today, so I'm gonna be going with her.
So while they're down there they're down there, like she's taking her pee, and she freaks out because she sees a dead possum.
It was a rabbit.
Rabbit, sorry. I figured it was a possum. But just because there's so many dead everywhere. The mom finally comes running down when she hears the daughter screaming over the dead rabbit. And that's when Rawhead Rex just comes lumbering around the road and is like, ow, they left a kid in the car for me as a snack. He snatches him out, leaves nothing but a shoe behind. We never see his body, nothing. He must have just ate that little bastard whole.
It was just literally opened his mouth and he just swallowed him.
He was
like
gone.
Psycho Gorman style. He just inhaled him, and that was it.
So the dad's back into town. He's pissed. All the cops are sitting around. Like, this is the tiniest police station you've ever seen in your life. Like, you couldn't raise your arms, spread your arms out because you would hit the walls. There was like 17 people squeezed into this tiny police station. They're all like, yeah, let's go after Rex. Or let's go after this thing that's killing them. They don't know what it's called. Cut back to the trailer park where Rex starts his rampage again. And once again, there's people just sitting around talking. Rex, horny as he is, busts out a window, just rips a chick's clothes off and pulls her through the window like, oh, this is not gratuitous at all. He just totally accidentally ripped those clothes off as he went through. And they get into a fight with Rex. My favorite is the guy who tries to punch the 9-foot tall monster in the back. That worked out well for him.
Yeah, he kind of jumped up a little bit and punched him in the head, and it was like, no, he dead.
No, he's going to die. But my favorite part of this is when the guy finally comes out with a gun and they're like, shoot him. He fires, misses, hits the propane tank, blows everything around it all to hell, and you just see Rex doing this insane run out of the fire towards him, and the guy's like, oh God! He knows he's going to die. And he gets immediately killed.
Yeah, everyone gets fucking killed in here. It's like when they come to quote unquote rescue the people or figure out, because the cops also, they're worthless. Everyone is worthless in this movie. This is not the kind of movie where it's like, oh yeah, the cavalry's gonna come in and everyone is gonna be okay, and everyone's gonna get saved. It's like, no, everyone's dead. Even the cops are useless. The guns are useless. There's nothing. This, like you said, this is a 7-foot freaking mythological monster.
Then one of the cops on the way in their car gets waylaid by Rex. He kills the one guy, then rips the detective out and gives him the fucking Svengali treatment, looks him in the eyes, and he's like, the guy's just like, I worship you now. Like, okay, he can do that?
Yeah,
right.
He has several people under his power. Now, let me go back and say that there's also a weird thing, I don't want to say weird, but the funniest thing to me in the movie is all the drawings that they collect from
kids
and the adults, where it's Rawhead Rex, and all the drawings are hilarious. Like, they're all funny and they all look crazy. And this is the drawings that the police are going by, when there's someone's missing or
you're currently looking for this. They hold a picture of it. It's the fucking insane picture that the kid's drawn.
He has a mullet and red fucking eyes. Imagine the kid going in with the red marker, circling in the eyeballs. So that part is really funny. But, it basically ends up being a battle, against good and evil, but the good is a woman. It's the mom that saves the day, because the only thing that could, hurt him.
The only thing that we find out what's in the church that everyone kept touching and freaking out about was inside a chest in the church is a little female fertility idol.
Which, this is doesn't make any sense. It attacked the woman, And why, if it was something positive that was supposed to be something obviously negative towards Rawhead Rex and be the only thing to hurt him, why would it hurt the innocent humans, especially the woman that just touched? They didn't even touch it. They just touched the
box it was
in. Box it was in. So that didn't make sense. But the father tried to use it. First of all, I do like that there's a graveyard fight scene. There's not a lot of graveyard fight scenes, so I did really appreciate this.
This is one of those insane movie graveyards, too, where it looks like the bodies are overlapping each other, too. Because there's like graves at different angles. And you're like, wait, this guy is vertical. This guy's horizontal in his grave. Wouldn't their feet be touching? Like, that seems really awkward.
Also in this graveyard, there is a scene where someone becomes baptized. And yes, because, crazy priest, he's been crazy and just totally doing the bidding of the Rawhead Rex. And Rawhead Rex is like, I will grant you a baptism with thy piss. And it is not like regular piss. This looks like liquefied, like glue. It's very white. It looks like some other thing. It's very disgusting. Yeah, and this guy is like, he's loving it.
In the story, they spare no expense to let you know that he is opening his mouth and swallowing it.
Oh!
He's rubbing it in his eyes, all over his skin. He's very into it.
Yeah, it's not good. But the scene, the fight scene in the graveyard, the guy tries to pick up the idol, doesn't work for him, and then the wife comes to kind of like help out the husband because the husband's getting his ass beat, and she just wants to like help him, probably take him out. She gets knocked over, whatever. She decides to pick up this thing, and then that's when we have the amazing 80s special effects with the ethereal
smoke like in the laser that they do, and the like laser light effects of zapping Rawhead Rex with the beams,
the image floating above, it's a woman, that whole thing, and that lasts for me like 45 minutes. That whole scene, it was
a little long.
It was very long, and alas, he gets beaten by the idol.
He gets thrown into a hole.
With help from the dad, because he does stab him, and then he totally goes back into the earth swallows him up. But oh shit, the idol fell in there with him too.
Yeah, they dropped that. So they dropped the ball on that one.
Yeah, and then the end.
Yeah, you get your typical 80s jump scare at the end where Rawhead pops back up for one more little ha-ha! I'm not dead. There could be a sequel to this. There wasn't.
No, there wasn't. Supposedly in 2019, there were some rumors that Rawhead Rex was going to be remade, but that hasn't been a thing. And I don't think that this is a movie that needs to get. If it's going to be more cohesive, I know that I would understand if this was like a situation where it's a Harry Potter or something like that, where it's gonna take a long time to it's a long novel, but this is like how long?
Maybe
a short
10,
story,
15-page short story.
Yeah, so there shouldn't have been so much in the screenwriting process. Like, we can't just get down the story of what's going on. But I give it 1.5 knives.
Yeah, I'll give it 2 knives just because it's got some crazy effects in it that I enjoyed.
It's just a stupid movie. It's fun to watch, for you guys out there that are like mad loving Rawhead Rex. Sorry, but it was like, okay.
Really, all the Clive Barker stories from the Books of Blood, instead of being done as full movies, they should just be an anthology. They should just devote about 20 or 30 minutes to each one, and that would be ideal. Because the whole point of them is that they're short stories that you can read through quickly. None of them would really make a whole movie by themselves. And they tried to do that last year with that Book of Blood, but they were like, oh no, let's just not adapt the stories. Let's make our own stories and call it Clive Barker's Books of Blood. Okay, cool.
Yeah, well, no, it's not Clive Barker's Books of Blood. That was the whole thing. The whole horror community needs to be cleared about this. It's just called Books of Blood. There's only one actual Clive Barker story in there. All the other stories are new stories.
Yeah.
They don't have his name apart, like you would see, like John Carpenter's Halloween, Wes Craven's whatever. People
under
the
stairs. Because he's really not that involved with it.
Because he's not involved. It's not an anthology of anything, like one story from the Books of Blood. So I wouldn't say that's an anthology. Everything else is made up. So we need to clear the air about that, because I mean, when you research it, it will literally go and tell you like it's like inspired, but it's not. Which I guess they were able to have that name because they do have that one story in there. But
yeah, if they were just going to do it right, they could just do like there's 6 books with different stories, and some of them are very short, some of them are a little longer. But they could easily adapt them into 20 minutes. You could do like an anthology show and just do 1 episode per thing, and it would be 20, 30 minutes. Perfect.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. That would be good as part of an anthology, not a full movie. Well, thank you so much for joining us in another episode of Jump Scare. Stay tuned to the horror.
And now, folks, it's time to say goodnight. We sincerely appreciate your patronage and hope we've succeeded in bringing you an enjoyable evening of entertainment. Please drive home carefully and come back again soon. Good night.